please. Whew!
Oh, nice.
That's that was abrupt.
And
Pretty
there's something
good.
more relaxing about these patrons-only episodes, at least on my end. Maybe for you it doesn't matter. But I think it's because I have to edit these that I feel like I don't have to edit these.
Yeah, no, it's.
I mean, they
it's,
pay for unedited episodes
they want
regularly.
they want all of it.
I
They
don't have
want
to
the
do
meat and the
anything for
fat.
this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't got to cut back.
Ugh.
Get it all of them.
The
Get it.
meaty, you know who's not meaty or fatty is Prince.
Oh, no, very slender. Very slender.
He's a lean machine.
And so tiny. I mean, he's just petite and very lean.
And I
And
was
very-
Oh, go ahead.
Very pretty. Very pretty.
Very androgynous. Like,
yes.
at certain times in this movie, I was like, he really looks like a lady. And
Yeah, better
there's
eye
nothing
makeup
wrong
than
with
the
that. I
ladies.
think
No.
that's wonderful for him.
He's a pretty lady.
He's
Very-
a gorgeous woman.
yeah.
Yeah, and this does, I wasn't sure until I really looked into it. This does close out our Prince in the 1980s.
Of the 80s. Yeah, he did
Yeah.
something in the 90s, the early 90s, I feel like.
He did
Graffiti, something.
He did I think it's a sequel, and I'm using air quotes, nobody can see this, to Purple Rain, where he has the same name. He's just called the Kid again. But it's not necessarily a sequel. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. We're never going to talk about that.
No, this
This is it?
This is post Purple Rain, and it's clear that the studio was like, Purple Rain was such a hit, you get to do whatever you want, Prince. And I
This
read
is
a little bit.
crazy. Did you
yeah.
read about this? Because
I read
did not.
just a little, not a whole, but enough, and it's true. So. Which I think by watching it, you could just piece together that, again, Prince they just figured, sure, he's going to be in it and it'll be great.
Yeah.
And the screenwriter, the woman that wrote the script, had like zero experiences writing anything, surprise.
What?
And like she wrote a small treatment and they liked that, so then they hired her. And there was a director on, but the director either quit or got fired, and then Prince took over the directing.
Oh, Jamie, do you know who that director was?
Uh-huh.
It was a director who we did a movie for, and she was fired by Prince. It's Mary Lambert. If that name does not sound familiar, that's okay. She directed Pet Sematary.
Ah!
Yeah, it was the Pet Sematary. This would have been her first film, but Pet Sematary ended up being her first film. I mean,
Both a
it
challenge.
doesn't yeah, they don't have anything to do with one another, but she is I don't know about I didn't really look her up recently, was a huge music video director. Like,
Yes,
directed
yes.
so many Madonna music videos, and I'm sure you read Madonna was asked to
Turned it
play the
down.
part.
Yeah.
And I have to say, better movie with Madonna.
Oh, absolutely.
I-
So much more fun with Madonna. I agree.
Right.
I agree.
Just for the crazy factor alone,
yes.
to have Madonna, how do you not? I don't know.
Well, because at times his character just he's kind of funny and fun at times, and it's nice to see him in this light. And it kind of reminded me of her Desperately Seeking Susan, like
Yes.
kind of funny, fun character.
Because she
So
would have
seeing them
hammed
mixed,
this up. Yeah, she would have chewed the scenery. And Kristen Scott Thomas, in an introducing Kristen Scott Thomas
Yeah.
role,
Yeah.
like, she was trying to act in this movie, and you shouldn't do that. Like, that's the
No.
problem. She was
Yeah.
good, but she was in a different movie than everybody else.
Yeah, I agree. But really, what was this movie?
Oh,
What
I
really
have no
was
idea.
this?
I have no.
And you get
this-
thrown into it right away, where you're like, "Wait, okay, so first we're in black and white, and
I
is
was
it
so
1930
confused.
or
I was like,
1980?"
what year is this?
Yeah.
Is this whole movie going to be in black and white? At one point, I was watching this, and it was my own fault. I accidentally leaned on the remote and hit mute. So then I thought suddenly
Did you
for
think
a
it was a
long
silent-
stretch, it was a silent film. It was so dumb.
You're like,
'cause
what
then
are
I
you
had to
doing
go,
to me,
right.
Prince?
Then I had to go back. I had to rewind it. I had to rewatch stuff with
Oh.
sound. This
You didn't have to rewatch it with sound. You
I
probably
kind
didn't
of
need
did.
to. Oh, you
I
did.
kind of
Okay,
felt like I
okay.
did. I
Well,
don't
yeah,
know.
actually, because the stuff, stuff just very random. I don't know when you paused it, but yeah, or muted it, but yeah, very very random scenes. Hard.
It was when
not-
he is. It was when he is sneaking into her room at night.
Oh,
So
yeah. Then you needed
that
to-
almost felt like a silent movie thing. 'Cause
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
could have been.
oh, he's not saying anything in there. Oh, and his friend just dropped the ladder and didn't make a sound, and his friend's running away. There's no noise. Like, I thought it was a silent movie bit. One thing I don't have to ask myself a lot when I watch movies is the question, who is this movie for? And I found myself asking that at every turn in this movie. I have no idea who this movie was made for except Prince.
I'm guessing Prince and maybe Prince fans, like a really devoted Prince, because again, he's kind of adorable and funny in it a lot of times, and
Sure.
you do get. Sometimes I did wish that it was in color just to see his outfits, because
I've
you
never
see them,
heard
but-
people reference color so much in a black and white movie. At every turn, he's like, oh, no, you should wear the gold one. Oh, you know what's great? That purple outfit over there. I'm like, why are you saying this? This
We
movie
can't-
is black and
we
white.
can't see any of this. Don't you
Right.
see? But you can see he's such pretty eyeshadow.
Oh.
Whoever did his makeup, I didn't even have to know that there was color to it. I was
Oh.
just like, they would show the close up of the women's faces, and then they'd show him, and I was like, he is a magnificent looking
Yeah.
being, man,
Yes.
woman, like you said, this androgynous, just
I
and the cutouts
kinda
in his
want
clothing.
him in, and I know he's dead, but I almost want him in everything. I don't want him to direct everything. I don't want him to act in everything, but I
Right.
kind of just want him to be in stuff because he has presence in
Yeah,
a way that
there's charisma.
most
Yeah.
people do not.
Yeah. What I don't want him to ever
Hold
do.
on, my wife's calling me. I should probably take this since she's out. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, make sure she's okay.
Hi. Yes.
Oh.
No, that's fine. I thought you were calling me because it was soup's important. Oh, you're going to be there all night.
For snow tubing?
Well, well, I think you might have to waste some gas to survive. Oh, man. All right. Yeah. Sure. All right. Sure. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Well, just text me or whatever when she arrives. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's a fun patron treat. Let's get under this cherry moon, huh?
Oh, and this, in case patrons don't know, I think we've said it. We're recording out of order, but I think at the end of our All Dogs Go to Heaven episode, we said why we were doing this. But it is award season. It's February, so we're going to do Razzie movies every February 1st. And this thing swept. Like,
it did.
Prince won for Worst Actor. He won for Worst Director. This won for Worst Picture. His friend, who I have a lot of questions about, won for Worst Supporting Actor. It was a landslide that year.
Oh, they were Razzie winners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Razzie. Big
I
hit at the
didn't read
Razzies.
if he felt that he did have, because there was a little, I guess, a message he was trying to portray about rich people versus poor
Snobs
people.
versus
I don't
slobs?
know. Yeah, I don't.
Do you have a lot of? Do you hear Is there like a truck at your house? No?
Nope, there is a helicopter in the background. I don't know why, but it should
okay.
pass.
No,
That's
no, no. It
crazy
just
that you
sounded
could hear
really
it.
loud suddenly. I didn't know what that was.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway.
It's my truck. It's my Tonka truck. I'm just rolling it around while we talk about Under the Cherry Moon. 1986? No, 86.
No, 6.
Okay.
Yeah. And why is it called Under the Cherry Moon? Did they talk about a cherry moon at all? Are those words even said?
Does he sing that maybe at some point on one of his performances?
I don't know. Because this is not a musical either. This isn't like a Xanadu. It's not you turn around, there's
No.
another musical number. There are just 3, maybe 4 scattered throughout. A lot
Yeah.
of piano playing, but no song.
Well, I like at one point he's in the car listening to his own self
That's
in the car
yes.
on the radio.
He's also listening to himself in bed when he's wearing those
Oh,
very
yes.
tight pants at the beginning of this movie. Where it almost like
Where
those
you could see his butt,
that
his
is
chubby little
just
butt.
those pants are created to just form separate cheeks. And
Yes.
it's bonkers. Again,
Yeah.
at every turn I just did not understand what this movie was, who
What's
was
happening?
for, what the point of this is. I mean, until the end, I think all the way through every scene, I was just like, what's going on?
happening? Who are these people?
Where are they?
How
Who
does
is
she
this
know
person?
him? Does he
Right.
know her? Who's that guy? Yeah, I think because then it was hard to keep that straight too. So he's a gigolo, right?
Sure. Yes.
But he's also like a really good piano player at this. Now, I'm confused here, and maybe we'll clear it up as we go.
Yeah,
So we're in
yeah.
France for
Yes.
the movie, the majority
Like
of
the
the movie.
south of France. I think they're on the Mediterranean, right?
Yes, they're in, yes. And they, but they talk about being in Miami and getting back to Miami and paying their rent in Miami. But when they have the interaction with the landlady, isn't that in France?
That's in France. The landlady also might be my favorite character in this movie. I love how she's just with them throughout this final chase. I'm like, why is this woman
Yeah, she
here?
comes back.
What does
Why?
it matter?
No,
And
but then they.
so then the place that they're paying rent on, is that the place where Tricky is at the end of this movie?
No, because Tricky goes back to Miami. He's in Miami.
Right, that's what I
clearly. There's
mean.
palm
They're
trees.
paying. That's what I mean. Is that the place they're talking about in Miami? Is that the place Tricky is at the end?
Oh, yes.
When he
yes.
then turns it back on this French girl that
Yes.
she has to pay rent, I guess, for living with him.
Yeah, I guess that's how Tricky
Yeah,
works.
no,
you know?
it's a whole thing. I don't know. A lot of my answers to any questions you have are just going to be, I don't know. I don't know because Prince said so. I guess.
Because if they are gigolos from Miami and they
Mm-hmm.
just kind of live like, person to person or whatever,
Why
how did
are
they
they
get in
there?
France?
Yes. I mean, do you think they just ran out of stuff to do at Miami? Like they were like, they are on to us here in Miami. We have
Yeah,
to
we
get
better
as
get
far
out. Well,
as
no,
we can.
because he's got a gig. So he's got this piano playing gig at this hotel in France.
it just kind
Now
of looks
this-
like a crummy restaurant or something.
Yes, this restaurant hotel. But now, this opening scene here, where he's at the piano, and
Jamie,
he's like
I do have to
erotically
say,
playing piano.
did you know anything about this movie before watching
No,
it? Okay,
no,
good.
nothing,
Because
no.
neither did I.
No.
And we were about 10 minutes into this and I went, is this a comedy? Because I didn't even know that. I didn't know if it was a drama. And at the beginning of this with the note passing, I was like, wait, I think this is a comedy. I don't know.
No, I didn't know either. I just,
Right.
I didn't. You right away, you're like, what am I? Like right away, it's black and white, and Prince is at the piano, and he's got this crazy outfit on where there's like this bandana thing
Yeah.
with sequences on his head. He's got this head wrap thing on, and he's like playing sensually the piano. Like,
headwear in this movie is great.
Oh,
When
throughout.
and everybody's wearing headgear from the 20s
Yeah.
in, I think, modern day.
yeah, I think it is supposed
Like,
to be modern.
why
day.
does Kristen Scott Thomas wear that, like, beaded, like, knight's cap? Like it's so bizarre.
That's
and,
because
and
she
all
can.
of their surroundings are from the 20s, and suddenly they pull out a giant boombox. I'm like, nothing about this movie makes any sense at all.
No, it is. It's like Prince was just like, these are things I'd like to do.
Yeah,
and they were like, oh, okay.
All right, Prince.
Yeah.
You're
that
in
sounds
charge,
good.
I guess,
Because
for
I think
some
too,
reason.
I did read that the studio didn't want it to be black and white. They didn't think they could
Yeah.
sell it in black and white, but he was like, nope, that's what I want to
No,
do. And again, because Purple Rain was such a success, they were like, well, I guess we should let him do what he wants
Yeah.
to do.
I read that this was filmed in color, but then they
Mm-hmm.
just made everything black and white for the release. So there must be a colored version. Like, I'll bet if this is on Blu-ray or something, they probably do have the color version.
Which I'd love to see
Okay.
just for the outfits alone. Was Tricky his brother? But did they mean
They
brother
start
like
talking
we're
about being
brothers?
brothers, but then
yeah, but are they
sleeping
talking about
together.
brothers like in gigolo-ness? But then they do that thing where they like he kind of throws him when he first gets his call from the
Yeah.
lady in white and Tricky tells him and kind of, but then they're fighting over the same billionaire girl, and they're both. I think they both are just free love.
Okay, so it's
Free
just
love.
whoever's got the money, that is who
Yeah.
we're going to seduce. Okay.
But most typically it's women. It seems to be at least for
and
the,
I mean,
the
it was 86. I don't think we could, you couldn't do much. You couldn't do much in the other direction.
yeah. But like we've said, Prince is so androgynous in this whole thing. He's
Yes, but that's just Prince. Like, I don't.
yeah.
I mean,
I guess
don't
that's
know.
true. He's not really
yeah.
push. Well, he's yeah.
No, right.
Well-
But Tricky really confused me because Tricky really,
Tricky
really,
was tricky.
He was very tricky. So to see him end up with this French girl at the end, I was kind of like, I don't see this working.
doesn't
out.
seem right,
No,
yeah.
that doesn't seem right. Because I think, again, I mean, we could go back to Bloodsport, but I think just like Dukes and who's that guy, Jackson?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
they have a very similar relationship to who was Prince's character? What's his name in this?
Christopher.
Oh,
Christopher.
The least Prince name you can come up with. Yeah, you're right, because late in this movie, like very late in this movie, he puts on a robe and there's a big C,
C,
on it.
yeah,
And I was
like
like,
a Laverne
why does
L,
it
yeah.
say C on there? Because his name is not Christopher. Like, that is not the name of this character in this movie, but it is.
It is. It is. He is Christopher.
All right, so I guess we should talk about this movie.
Here we go.
Yeah. So, yeah, like you said, it starts with him playing piano and some woman who he seduces. Like, I love how she gets a seat right in front of the piano. They don't put
Oh,
her
yeah.
at a table. It's just a chair in front
Yep.
of the piano.
She gets a drink, she gets a cigarette,
Mm-hmm.
and someone is writing notes for her. There's a man behind him.
Well, that's
like
Tricky.
writing.
Tricky's
No,
writing
is
all
it
these
Tricky?
notes. Yes.
Oh.
Tricky's messing with
I
him.
see, I didn't even
Tricky's
realize
just,
that.
Right. Tricky's just trying to annoy him and just writing all of these notes. So some of the notes might be from her. Most of them are from Tricky. I'm not sure. He continues to throw them into the piano.
Yeah, yeah. But at the same time, he keeps getting more and more like fired up while
Yes.
he plays. He's playing the piano like he's making love to her. He's making
Right.
all these faces, and
He's very
he's-
emotive. Like
Yes.
Prince is an actor who just lets it. There's no mystery there to Prince. Like,
no.
it's all text. There's no subtext there. And some of my favorite parts of this movie is when he is kissing Kristen Scott Thomas and her mouth is sealed shut, like aggressively sealed shut as he
I-
licks her face.
I said this about the Purple Rain and
Yeah.
his kissing scenes. Like it's painful to watch. It's hard to watch him do any kind of because yeah, he looks like he's a terrible kisser, which I would think that he wasn't. I don't know.
He
But
has quite a reputation. So I was so confused with.
I think he's a terrible on-screen kisser. Maybe. I mean,
Okay.
maybe because I
All
can't imagine like having to make out with somebody. But
sure.
he looks like it is. It just looks uncomfortable and awkward, and like it's his first kiss, and he doesn't know where to put his tongue in his mouth, and he makes this weird face, like he's making a fish face when he's. It's terrible. All the
so
scenes when
great.
he's making out, I'm just, and then he does.
And there's
later,
a lot of them. There are
Yes.
a lot of them in this movie.
Yes. And he has a similar scene. We'll get to it, but when they have like their sex scene, it's very similar to the sex scene in Purple Rain because he like rubs himself down. Or then like
When they go to his sex cave,
Literally, it's a
it
cave.
is literally a sex cave. And she's like, "Where are we going?" He's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Tricky and I come here all the time." Where there's so many candles all
Yeah.
over this sex cave.
Because they're ready.
Oh my god. This movie's crazy.
Wait, we haven't even gotten to some of the craziest. Okay.
Oh, did
so-
you notice while he was playing piano at this restaurant, there's just a woman doing ballet in the background?
Yes, I did. I saw that. There's just when he's really making his final like eye contact with her,
Yeah.
and she finally gets. There's just the woman like just solo in the corner,
Yeah.
just doing pirouettes, just
Yeah.
spinning around. Yeah.
Not to the music, almost as though
Nope.
she's not in this movie.
No, it's
it
very
doesn't
random.
make any sense. Yes.
No. I thought maybe he's trying to be artsy because that's when after the opening I'm like, all right, because then it's a film by Prince.
Oh,
is what this
when
is
it
deemed,
said
and you're
a
just
film
like,
by Prince, I
Yeah.
typed 8 exclamation points in my notes after that.
You were like, what? Yeah, a film by Prince. And now I'm like, all right, what are we getting into? What is this? And then we get to see him in these sparkly tight pants. And he writes notes. So note writing is like his thing. He likes to write these little notes. He says, "Call me Christopher," with a big smiley face on like what looks like a giant Post-it note on her bed. He obviously takes this woman home that he played seductive piano for.
I'm sorry, that giant smiley face
Yeah.
with a drawn telephone.
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks like something my children would write. Like, it's so strange that this grown man wrote this kind of a note to a woman.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Oh
they
my
get
God,
into
I
it.
love it.
And
I
then
love
he
it.
recites all this poetry all the time.
Is that when she calls when he's in the tub, or is that later?
Yes. No, yes.
Okay.
The tub. All right, wait, we're not there yet. We're not there
No,
yet.
we're
Are
not
we?
there yet because he hasn't
Oh.
told a group of children to get jobs yet.
Yes, this is so we first see him in the piano bar and then we see him writing these silly notes and then he's like he's in France and he's in town and he's just hopping around and he sees like some bunch of street kids and he's like he's like, "Hey kids, you need to get a job. What do you guys got going on?" And then they kind of follow him around like he's a stray dog, and then he's on to the farmer's market and he's eating a lady's apple out of her basket. And
He
what
just
about when he
buys
gets
some
to the
lady
flower stand?
Oh,
No, he doesn't buy him. He's like to the flowers.
but he pays for them. He buys
Oh,
them. He hands
yeah.
the guy money. But it is
Yeah.
pretty great because he can't speak French. I mean, that's the thing that I think is so
No.
funny about this movie is everyone else in this movie appears to be able to speak French except Prince.
He does, or
So that is how he
doesn't either.
communicates with the florist.
Yeah,
And he really is saying,
He certainly is. Oh, so this is when. So after he kind of hops around town,
Yeah.
he gets back to his apartment with Tricky, and they have their like confrontation.
Well,
I
when
guess.
when
with
he
the-
goes, with the landlady, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
When he does his Bella Lugosi or whatever.
Oh, my God. I'm
is
not going to be
that?
able to keep it together through this recording because first, when he gets to the hotel or apartment or wherever they live, it
Yeah.
appears that Tricky and this woman were having sex behind the front desk,
Yeah.
too. Because they just pop
Well-
up and they put their clothes back on. She's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, by the way, you owe me rent." And you're right. He gives her a Bella Lugosi trance.
He just
and
stares
just
at her.
stares for a
But
long
it's this
time.
funny, like,
Oh,
Prince stare with this massive eyeliner and this groovy eyeshadow, and he's just like, "Mm."
and it's almost as though when doing this, Prince realized nobody's going to understand this. So he says, I have you in
Yeah.
the Bela Lugosi trance. And then we get to watch him take a bath.
Yeah, then he's sitting in a tub with a giant hat on. And Tricky's hanging out with him. And this is when they read in the paper. This is when they hatch this plan. They read
Right.
in the paper that this billionaire heiress is about to turn 21 and be, or maybe she's
18.
available. Oh, 18.
18. She
Okay,
doesn't look
okay.
18.
No, she doesn't.
Right.
She doesn't. But they're like, oh, we can make some money off of this. Again, they're these like, street
Yeah,
guys.
sure.
But now,
Yeah, they
The
just
lady-
check the paper, I guess. Check the paper to see women that are coming into money?
yeah.
I guess it's published in the paper.
maybe
but
that's
whatever.
why they're in
Yes.
France. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't
no.
matter. They're in France for no reason.
Right. But somehow the lady in white, the lady from the piano bar calls, and this is when he recites poetry for her in the bathtub.
And
right?
this is not the only time where a woman calls them and they laugh at her
Oh,
while
yeah.
they're talking on the phone. They just cover the receiver and laugh about what they're doing. Oh, it's... and he reads her poetry, just recites poetry.
He
and
just recites it.
nonsensical poetry. Mm-hmm. Are these
About
songs
being-
of his?
I don't know. I don't know if they are some sort of song lyric, but they do get a little like, oh, your body and my body and closeness, but you're right, like it's just kind of
It's just nothing. But
Yeah.
all the while, Tricky's in the background slapping his knee and having a great
it's
time.
hilarious to
Oh,
him.
yeah.
It's hilarious to him. So now we've had this.
Then they have
So
a
we've had
slap
this-
fight. At the end of this scene, they
Oh,
have
yeah,
a
that's
slap
right.
fight. Like a
They do.
like a little kitty fight. They just slap each
Like
other.
silly.
Prince is in the tub. Tricky's sitting right next to him and they're just slapping each other
And the
laughing.
tub's just like in the middle, kind of like that tub in Oregon. It's
At
just kind of in the
at
middle of the
Stuga-
room.
The Stuga
Yeah.
tub. You're right. It was
Yeah.
right in the middle. Because during this scene, Prince gets out of the tub, walks around for a bit. Is this when he dances with Tricky and catches him or dips
Yes,
him, or is that
yes,
later? I don't,
yes.
yeah,
No,
it
that's
doesn't matter.
this. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
But they find out that Kristen Scott Thomas, this youthful girl of only 17 years old, is about to have her birthday,
Right.
and she's going to get $50 million. And they find out that there is a party, I guess, that day or that night or something.
Shortly thereafter, yeah. So after all this that we've just seen, this crazy sexual piano playing, this bathtub poetry, this frolicking through the streets
Yeah.
of France, now all of a sudden we're at this party where there's circus animals and we're
And not just
transported to-
circus, like elephants, like
Yeah.
real elephants. Like they paid to get elephants in this movie.
Yep.
There are clowns.
Yep.
Children are kissing.
Weird twins that moan at the guests when they
I
come
don't-
in.
I-
The children with the raccoon
The-
masks on.
oh, the werewolf kids?
Yeah.
The werewolf boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like painted eyes, but just like around their eyes,
Yeah.
around their temples is painted black, almost as though they're wearing masks. But you're right, they just growl at guests.
Yeah.
And then
there's
follow
they talk
Prince
a
around
lot.
for a little bit.
Huh?
They follow Prince around for a little bit when he comes in.
Yeah. There's a lot of younger kids there, and there's a definite message where they're trying to say, because a couple of the characters mention it, about money being related to youth and how money is so wonderful, and like a couple of the characters at the party say it. So then I thought,
mean, it's literally them saying, like you said, there's
Yes.
no subtext.
no, it's
to
not
this. Right,
It's
no.
like, oh, money is for the young, and we are
Right.
young, and we are wealthy and money and good, and
Yes, because I think some young guy says, "Who needs money when you have youth?" And literally
Yes.
5 seconds later, an old guy goes, "Who needs youth when you have money?" Like it is so on the nose and
yes,
over
they're
the
just
top.
beating you over the head with it.
Right.
It's like, is there? I guess that's the message there.
This movie doesn't have a message, Jamie. There's no way this movie actually has
It's a film by
message.
Prince. It's totally a message.
Okay, all
I
right.
don't know. I don't know.
Just a Prince message.
Just a Princey message. Well,
And
then we
Kristen
get.
Scott
go ahead.
Thomas is a bizarre character in this movie
Oh,
too.
very weird.
Because
very.
through this entire movie, Prince's whole thing with her is, "You're such a prude. You're just stuck up." And
Right.
And our opening, like the introduction to her in this movie,
Right.
is her walking into this party in a towel, opening
Mm-hmm.
it, exposing herself to everybody,
Yeah.
yelling about, "Look at my birthday suit,"
Yep.
and then going back in or playing the drum. Then she goes and plays the drums,
Plays the drums.
like a
uh-huh.
drum solo, and then for the rest of the movie, it's like we're supposed to forget this happened and think that she is just a button-down, stuck-up prude.
Prude, exactly.
No,
Like
but-
she didn't just
right.
show up naked. And it's not like but so yeah. She appears at her party and then the crowd goes crazy for her playing
my
the
God.
drums.
Yeah.
She plays some terrible song, Planet Rock, Don't Stop. I don't even know.
Well, you know, Prince wrote that in 5 minutes before this
Yeah,
scene.
he's like, here's what's going to go down. Then she spots Prince. And he's
How can
got
you
this
not-
way.
I wrote down that at
Well, he
a
is
party
little.
full of crazy people in crazy outfits, Prince still stands out. Like
He does.
still
He
stands
does.
out.
And he's
But-
got those eyes,
Yeah.
those Prince eyes.
I mean, that being said, to be honest, like at this party, both he and Tricky stand out because everybody at this party could not be more white. I mean, this party
Oh,
is
yeah.
just 100% white people, and then
Yeah.
Prince, who what does he refer to himself as when he's arguing with Tricky later? He
Oh,
calls Tricky
honey or
chocolate,
something like that.
but he's like
Yeah.
caramel or
Caramel,
something
I
like
think.
that.
Wait, I wrote
Yes.
that down somewhere. We'll
But
get to
it's
it.
it's still enough to make him stand out at this party.
Yes.
And
yes.
the shimmering tight pants, you know.
Oh
are-
yeah, and the low cut, like he's got these cutouts in the back of that outfit to expose his like
Right.
lower back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. There's a scene in this movie where he is wearing a crop top. Like he is
Yes.
in
yes.
Friends or something. Like it is so bizarre the way he's dressed throughout this entire movie.
It's
Because
very Prince.
as we said, everybody's outfit seems to be 1920s. Everybody is elite. They're wearing tuxes, they're wearing gowns, and he's just wearing whatever he grabbed out of his closet that
He's
day.
just wearing his Prince is what he's wearing. It's just him. She spots him. They have a stare off, but then she tells her friends, who she's got this tribe of really kind of hideous
Yep,
friends.
friends who we'd never see after this
No.
scene. They are not in this movie again.
Nuh-uh. And then they're not at all. She never confides in them anything.
No.
She tells them to do some research because she knows that they've
Yeah.
crashed the party. She
Right,
knows
she's
these
like,
two guys
keep
aren't
an eye on
invited.
this guy
Yeah.
for me. He doesn't look like he should be here. And she even
Right.
like says to Tricky, like, because then Tricky approaches her and she's like, "Oh, well, you know what? My guards are just looking to toss out all the party crashers." And he's like, "That sounds great. I'll talk to you later."
But they are really scoping out the whole party, him
Yeah.
and Tricky, doing what they do, you know? Talking to all the ladies.
Talking to the ladies, but she gets a gift from her aunt. I was very confused by it because her
Yeah.
aunt and her mother, I got those two confused.
Yes. and
she
then the
gets a-
lady in white is at this party too, isn't she?
Oh,
She's
is
in
she?
black.
I didn't know this
Yeah,
woman
and
was in the
because
movie
here's-
anymore.
Here's something. No, so I think that the lady in white, or the lady from the piano bar, is also having an affair with.
Wait a minute. So
her
that,
dad.
but that's her aunt. So the woman at the beginning of this is
is
Kristen
the
Scott
aunt-
Thomas's
yes,
aunt. Oh,
I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
that makes a lot more sense now because I
Yeah.
just thought she was a woman at the beginning of this movie that just had nothing to do with anything else.
No,
okay.
I think it's this. I think that woman, and then there's her mom, but I think the aunt, and then that's weird too, because I
Okay.
think the dad has an affair with, because,
Right, with the aunt.
right? Yeah.
Yes. Which must be the mom's sister. I don't think it's
Yes.
his sister.
No, I wouldn't think so.
So she gives her a gift, and Kristen Scott Thomas, walks away from the party, goes out to this fountain, and throws
yes.
the gift behind her. And of course, Prince catches it.
Of course,
And
he's
then-
right there.
yeah. And they have their little meet cute, and he's like, "Oh, look at this tarot cards. You want me to read your future? Blah blah blah." And then she introduces him to her mother.
Yes, and says that he's going to read her cards for her.
Yes, right, sure, why
Yeah.
not? And
Yeah.
then they're interrupted by children tickling each other. This, again, something that seemed like a mistake. Children literally roll into frame and are tickling each other, and they all laugh, and that's kind of the end of that scene. Because then Tricky starts a conga line.
Okay, that's how we segue into the next.
Yes.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. He says, although there is a line, so Prince's or Christopher's theme is that he likes to have fun. And when the aunt
Can you
says,
please just
"Do
call
you
him
read?"
Prince? I don't want you to call him Christopher.
I know, because it's so not. The aunt or the mom, I think, says, "Do you read these tarot cards professionally?" And he says, "I do nothing professionally.
Yep.
I only do things for fun."
Yes.
Because fun is sort of his thing. And then, yes, the tickling happens. And then after the tickling, all of a sudden Tricky shows up. There's a conga line. And the heiress joins the conga line.
Yeah.
And then we're inside. And she's taking a call from Jonathan, who is her
Jonathan.
boyfriend, dad. Who's Jonathan? The
Jonathan
boyfriend,
is
right?
her boyfriend, who I
Works
guess
for
she
the
is
dad?
engaged to, but he also works with her dad. Like there's a
Yeah.
business relationship there. I don't know. Do we even ever see Jonathan?
No, I don't think we ever did.
all right,
No,
so-
wait, I think he does come back at one point and says that he's got to go. Like he comes in and he's all dressed up and he's like, "Yeah, I can't stay."
Oh, okay. That sounds like something that would be in a Prince movie.
but,
I just
yeah.
showed up to tell you I can't. Be
I
here.
gotta go, right? But so she's on the phone with him, and Prince is in the room sitting on the couch eating like
Eating
chocolates
grapes.
or something.
He's like
Yeah.
eating grapes, like commenting on her phone call, like responding to what she's saying, laughing. She's yelling at him. Jonathan's like, "What are you yelling at
Who are
me?"
you yelling
And
at?
It's a whole thing. She tells him, she says, "Don't call me baby and get out of my house, you creep."
Yeah. What about when he crawls to her? He's on the couch and he does this like crawl
Yep.
and he goes, "Rawr!"
He crawls across the couch, acts like a cat.
And then she throws. She gives him. He gives her, I think, like a card or something, like
Yes.
a card about his show, his
Yeah.
piano show.
Uh-huh.
And then what does he do? He's like, before he leaves the room, he goes pits, and he goes.
He doesn't like that there's pits in the grapes. So
Okay,
on his way
okay.
out, he turns around. And you're right. I don't know. He's eaten like 5 grapes at this point.
Yeah.
He turns around and goes, "Pits!" And he just yells it. Like only Prince would yell the word "pits." And then he throws it out of his mouth. He's so mad. And I love it how she even says, she's like, "I only date people my own age." And that prompted me to look them
yeah.
up. And they are only a year apart when this movie
Oh.
was made. I mean, I know we're supposed to think she's 18 and he's in his 20s, but yeah, it doesn't look. He does not look her elder.
No. But now she's angry and she wants them kicked out.
Right.
So she has her guards or whatever, security come get him. And this is when he makes some comment about her having a chastity belt.
Yep. Just she's a prude. The
Yeah.
end. But then it's a quick cut to her hooking up or him hooking up with her mother
No, it's
or the aunt. It's the aunt.
Yes.
Okay, so
So
that's
now
where
the
he
aunt-
goes after
yeah.
this. Okay.
Well, they get kicked out, and him and Tricky get kicked out, and the aunt is like down. They're on a balcony, and the aunt's down below, and she opens the car door, and is just like, "Come on!"
Yeah.
And he makes sure that that Tricky has a ride home, and then he goes home with the aunt, and then he's playing piano at the aunt's house, and her husband's leaving a voice message on like on an answering
I think
machine.
it's Kristen Scott Thomas's dad
Okay.
is leaving the message.
and Prince is doing a song like to the
Yep.
message. It's
Yeah.
very-
It's not, he's responding to the message. Like he's
Yeah.
answering the questions being asked on the message in song.
Is it clever? I don't know. It's just
I
kind of
don't
weird.
know.
Yeah.
Again, I had a hard time taking notes to this movie because I was just perplexed.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what's happening? I agree. I
Yep.
agree.
Not
I
even
wrote
what,
things down
just
because I was
why,
like, am I
just why is this happening? Why was this made? What? Oh man. Okay, go ahead.
now we're back to the rich girl, and she's going over in her head different comebacks that she could have had to the
Yep.
chastity belt comment.
Yep. I was waiting for her to say the jerk store called and they're all out of you.
Well, then she shows up at his hotel, or wherever it is, the restaurant that he plays piano at. And
Yeah.
she just kind of shows up there to tell him that he smells bad. Like,
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Because why not?
yeah.
It's so dumb. Is this before or after her father shows up?
I think it's before her father
Okay.
shows
All
up.
right. Okay.
I think.
No. Doesn't
Yeah.
she go to his restaurant? That's where she insults
Yeah.
him, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah,
No,
where he's
before that
playing the
her father
piano.
shows up. And the only reason I note that he shows up is he's wearing a $sign lapel pin.
Oh.
It's big and it's gaudy and it's just like Prince was in charge of costuming. He's like,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
guy's rich. How do we make him seem rich? $sign lapel pin.
You
Done.
know.
And her dad looks like a guy who would play a really good Nazi in a movie. Like
Yes.
he'd be a great Nazi.
Agreed.
He's
Agreed.
not a great dad of Kristen Scott Thomas.
No.
Yes. But then she goes to the restaurant because she has the card where he's
Yes.
playing piano. And when did you notice before she walks into this restaurant and he sits down at the piano, the camera does a 360, more
Yes,
than a
it
360
pans the whole-
like
yeah,
for
twice.
no
It does it
reason.
twice,
It
yeah.
does it twice. What's
Yeah.
that? What's 360 plus 360? What's that? 720? This
Yeah.
camera does it, and it's so slow. And all the
For no
conversations
reason.
are
There's
in
no-
French.
there was
There's
more
no subtitles.
No, there was better characters at the party
Yep.
than at the hotel. So you're like, what are we looking at? There's a couple maybe that there's no. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of pointless. And then again, she shows up stands next to the piano and just is like
Right.
says something about how it smells bad or he smells bad.
You
and
stink,
he
it's
he even says
terrible.
like, so did you work on that all day?
Yeah.
Like, did you come all the way over here to tell me that?
Did Prince write this movie? Like, I know he directed it, but who wrote this? Because this
No,
is...
I told you some girl who's never written a screenplay before.
Oh, okay. All right, that sounds about right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Betsy or something like that. Her name is.
Betsy DeVos, and now she's
Yeah.
doing okay.
Yes,
This is
exactly.
how she got her start. She's like, screenwriting is not for me. Maybe education or something? I
Yeah,
don't know.
lead the education
I'll
department.
excel at that. Oh, man. Yeah, she and Prince dance. Oh, wait.
Tricky dances
No,
with her
yes.
first.
Yes. She wants to make Prince jealous, so she dances
Yeah.
with Tricky. Tricky is great. When he's dancing and he goes, I hate stupid girls. Goes, marry a stupid girl.
when he tells
You
him.
have stupid kids. You know how I know
You
you,
don't
have stupid
believe
kids?
me? Yeah.
Follow a stupid kid home. Guess what? A stupid person answers the door.
I did like his theory on stupid people.
Yes.
I was like, I agree with you.
And
I'm with you.
and I don't know if her character was supposed to be smiling and kind of laughing through this whole thing, but she cannot keep it together. Like, it's a bad Saturday Night Live sketch where they cannot
Yes.
keep it together because she's
Yeah.
on the verge of laughing out loud when he's talking.
But they have a little dance, and then all of a sudden, Prince cuts in, and then it's a slow motion, faded away dance, and they're outside by
Fades.
the water.
There are so many dissolves in this movie.
Yeah.
All the sex scenes are dissolves, and this was because they would almost dissolve into another scene,
yeah,
but
yeah,
not.
but no, they were staying with us. Yeah, it was really weird.
My favorite
Yeah.
part of this dance is when he lets go of her steps back just a leap. He just leaps, just like 1 or 2 leaps, and then goes back. And then he calls her a cabbage head, and she laughs.
Oh yeah, cabbage head. And he calls her or she calls him a gigolo.
Yes, right.
They kind of fight. They have this like.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like witty, playful
Yeah.
banter, but it just it comes off as he's doing a thing, and she doesn't know how to react to this thing that he's doing in this movie.
Yeah.
But she does invite the two of them to another party or something.
Yes, a dinner. I think it is
Because
at a fancy
every
restaurant.
house and every restaurant and every club in this movie appear to be the same exterior.
Yeah, it all looks very similar. I agree.
It's all just like a semicircle driveway and a place with pillars, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm at my home. Oh yeah, we're at this
This is
club now.
outside of the Chateau
This is a
Marmont,
super
yeah.
fancy restaurant," and it
Right.
all seems to be the same location. Not in France. It looked like couldn't they just be in New Orleans in this movie? Because this looked like all these homes look like New Orleans.
No, I think it was shot in France.
I know,
though.
which makes it even crazier.
Well, they're at the aunt's house again. When Prince shows up to the aunt's
Oh,
house
what is this?
with 2 cups and a bottle of champagne and
Prince
2 glasses.
just has a scene with a car.
Yeah, with the Rolls Royce.
It's so long.
He just sits in the Rolls Royce and talks to it, and then realizes who it belongs to, and so then he shouts something at the door and leaves the bottle of champagne and 2 glasses, and
then drives away. That's a scene in this movie.
yeah,
He talks
Yep.
to a car that does not talk back like Knight Rider, and then drives away. Just leave.
Well, to be fair, it's a beautiful car. It's a Rolls Royce, and he's so excited and so fancy, and it's parked very close to the pillar.
It is
like dangerously close.
I didn't think he was going to be able to open the door when he got into
Yeah,
it.
I thought he was going to like crash it or something
Yes,
because
me
it was
too.
in such a precarious place.
Right. And I love how
but,
he's totally going to steal this car because he's looking around for the keys. Like, that's
Yeah,
what he's
yeah.
doing. But then he finds, like, the license or something and realizes
Yeah.
it's Kristen Scott Thomas's dad having an affair with this woman who
Yeah.
he saw at the beginning of the movie.
Right. Who's apparently her aunt too.
Yes, who he drew the smiley face picture for.
Yes. Now we're back to our rich girl, and her daddy is brushing her hair.
I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
Very strange. And basically, we find out that he's kept her, even though, like you said, she's kind of a wild child at her birthday party. She shows her with her birthday suit and plays the drums, and no
Right.
one. But now it seems that the dad has kept her very strict and just, needs her to follow his rules and is
Yes.
brushing her hair.
Brushing her hair.
It's very strange.
And they're having an argument. Like, he doesn't like the fact that she gets $50 million when she turns 18.
No. But he keeps extending it too. No,
Yes.
it's not going to happen yet. And she's like, come on, I just want to live my life now. I'm ready to live my life. Butterscotch. That's what he calls himself. Butterscotch.
I have it here too. Prince and Tricky have a talk / argument. I think
Yes.
this argument is about Kristen Scott Thomas, right? Like,
It is, yes.
who's going to make the moves on her?
Right. Because they're both kind of gunning for her.
And it is an insane argument. Like, it is,
Oh
I don't
my
know what is
gosh.
said during this argument. It ends with them with wide eyes, like,
Staring at each other, just breathing.
for a long time. Like, a long time in the movie where this should not be here.
No, it's just about Mary, and I don't even know what else they argue about. But now they have to
That's
go to
it.
the dinner.
That's
right?
all. But now they have to go out to dinner. And this is where Kristen Scott Thomas
She
is
wears
wearing
that
that weird
headpiece. Yeah.
headpiece, like chainmail, but with diamonds hanging down off of it. It is what is going on with the time period of this movie?
I don't know. But now they show up to this fancy restaurant
Yeah.
for dinner, and these are 2 sort of known gigolos, and now she's showing up here with both of them. And the paparazzi, somebody's taking pictures
do you mean
of
the
them.
3 people that, that
Yeah.
walk out with cameras? And I don't know if you noticed, but after the dad is like, oh, or whoever is like, oh, paparazzi, get these people out of here, pushes them away. Another woman walks into frame with a camera and starts taking pictures of the other paparazzi, not of Kristen Scott Thomas.
No, I didn't notice, but I don't doubt it. It's
Yeah,
so bizarre.
right.
Yeah. Is this where the party? This is when So they start talking to her at this restaurant
Oh,
about
my
Miami.
God, yes.
Have you ever been to Miami? Oh, because that's part of their argument too, or their discussion. Him and Tricky's discussion is that they want to show her Miami life, like
Right.
if she could just see their life and
Right,
really
yes.
kind of hang with them. They feel like that would kind of, I don't
Right,
know.
yes. These
That would-
2 dudes talk like they are from the streets. Like,
Yes,
we are
yes.
down and out, and all we've seen them wear is elaborate costumes
Yep.
or tuxedos through this
Yep.
entire movie.
And they're hanging out in France.
Right.
But this is when he asks the waiter for a blue crayon.
Oh. It is so
And I-
specific that it has
Yeah.
to be a crayon. And I was like, oh, does he have like one of those kids' meals where there's like a maze on the back that he has to just do?
No, he asks for a blue crayon. And what he does, he says blue crayon. And he says
Yep.
that's French. And he gets the blue crayon. And again, he writes on this napkin, Wreck a Stowe.
Yes.
And he tells her to read it over and over
Yep.
again, to read it out loud, and they're laughing, they're cracking up.
They are when
and
she
is
says
getting
when she goes wreck a Stowe, he and Tricky lose their fucking
They're
minds.
dying.
Like they
They're
are
dying.
out of they almost fall off their chairs. They're laughing so hard.
and she's like first she's like, it's not even a word. What are you
Yep.
doing? It's just a stupid thing. What are you making me say?
Yeah.
And then they go, if you want to buy a Sam Cooke album, where do you go? The Wreck-A Stowe.
Yep, and and she gets it now. She
Oh, yeah.
thinks it's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
Oh, and then they decide to let's just cause a ruckus now.
Now
Let's
they
just
cl-
go up.
Now here it comes. Now we're treated to like a mini music video almost. This is
I
like the
enjoyed,
one.
like this was one part where I was like, all right, I'm
Performance, yeah.
into this. Like, okay,
Yeah.
let's do more of this in this movie. But
Yeah, why don't we have
they
more
don't
of
even
this?
get through the whole song because their dad
No.
walks in and stops
I
them.
know, and just stops it.
But I
Yeah, so
love
they-
how my favorite thing about this is how I guess it's supposed to be like a crazy reveal when he tells Tricky to get out the boombox and he pulls it out from
Oh,
under
yeah.
the table. But we saw him walk into the restaurant with this on his shoulder. It's like, I knew it was there.
Now we know.
But this
We
isn't
saw
a
it.
reveal.
What is happening?
You could just had it on the table. It's inconsequential.
Well, the party starts though
Yeah.
now because Prince is performing, he is dancing,
Yep.
he is kind of up on this pedestal on the stage. The whole crowd is loving it
Yeah.
until, like you said, his dad comes. Her dad comes
Yes.
rather, and tells her basically to come home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she does.
And this
Everyone boos, including
Yep.
Prince.
This is not the only time in the movie where Prince calls somebody a party pooper. You're a
Yeah.
party pooper. He calls her that later, and I was like,
Yeah.
you should not use the term party pooper twice in
No.
any movie.
But if you're Prince, I guess you can. Now this is when Mary's all depressed and she's laying in bed with this with her radio and her phone and her record store note.
That is, with that neon radio and that, like,
Yeah.
I almost pictured like it should be a Garfield phone. It felt
Yes,
so
that's what
of
it was
the
very,
time.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
I agree. And the
Oh, yeah.
radio was the same, yeah.
Yeah, and the radio, a Prince song is playing on the radio, which makes
Mm-hmm.
her think of this guy that she just met at this,
Yeah.
just a couple days ago. And she calls him with extended periods of silence.
Yes, she's got nothing much to
God.
say. There's just long pauses where he eats crackers.
Crackers. He just like stops. He laughs with Tricky.
Yeah.
I can't believe she's
Again,
still
like
on
you
the
said,
phone.
they have a
Yeah.
lot of phone
And
calls where they're laughing.
every now and then, both of them during this phone call have to go, "Are you still there?" This
Yeah.
scene is just silence.
Yeah. It's very, very awkward. Very. I do like when Prince answers the phone. Who it is or what it is, I think is how he answers. And Tricky does the same thing later on. He answers the door. Who it is? I don't know. Yeah, it's a very awkward phone conversation. She just tells him at the end that she's thinking. He's like, "What are you doing?" Long pause, chewing crackers, giggling. And she just goes, "Thinking."
I need
And
people
then
who have
that's
not
it.
seen this movie to understand that saying long pause, eating crackers, giggling, that is what is happening
That's
in this
literally
scene.
what
I
we're
mean,
seeing,
it's literally nobody talking. We watch Prince put the phone down, eat crackers,
Mm-hmm.
and giggle with Tricky. And Prince directed this. Oh man, it's awesome.
Gosh.
So now he realizes that she is really into him. So he is going to go see her
Yep.
that night.
Yep.
They bring a big ladder. Don't know where they got
Yeah.
that from.
I don't know either, and I don't know how they weren't a little,
Yeah.
obvious with their ladder. But they show up, and Tricky is against it. He's like, "You're being a fool. What are you trying to do here?" I like that his thing is he's going to climb this ladder. Tricky's going to be the lookout. He tells
Yes.
Tricky to whistle 4 times if he sees anything.
That is, I mean, that is a line out of Three Amigos if I ever
Yeah.
heard one. Like, I expected Tricky to go, "Look up here. Look up here."
Yeah, whistle 4 times, he tells him.
It's
And then he climbs the ladder
crazy.
and sneaks into what he thinks is Mary's room. And he's like on top of this woman. And he's like, "All right, you're going to get it. Don't worry. I'm going to give it to you so good. It's going to be so
Jamie,
good."
I think you left out the best part of this scene is he does not just sneak into this room. He goes, "Pizza man, pizza man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a pizza man." And even after he gets into bed, he's like, "I got a pizza for you."
That's right. Pizza man. And the mom's all into it. She's like, "Oh, God, yes, I've been waiting for this. I'm so excited. Oh, what is that?" He's like, "I think it's my zipper."
And this is also a great scene because this is when Tricky
Pizza man,
sees some
that's
dudes
right.
walking around.
Oh,
Tricky
yeah.
looks into the camera, like looks at you, the audience, and
Yep.
mouths shit.
Yeah, he goes, "Oh, shit."
Just like breaking the fourth wall in a movie that
Yeah.
doesn't need this, but
Nope.
Tricky does it at this point. Oh,
And then Tricky climbs up to tell him, "You're in the wrong room. You're in the mom's room."
yes, because he sees Kristen Scott Thomas. What's her
Yes.
name? Mary. He sees
Yes.
Mary like in a different room, like on a different floor.
Yeah,
like
she's
it doesn't even appear to
upstairs,
be
yeah.
the same building.
No. And then it's the big joke. "Oh, you almost had sex with the mom. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it." Da, da, da. The next scene is
Oh.
where Mary just has a big bag of money that her dad gave her.
I titled this scene "Hat Parade" because they're all wearing bizarre hats. She shows up in like a beret, and Trick
Yes.
is wearing like a cowboy hat, and Prince has some other goofy headgear on. And you're right, she just has a bag of money. And it's a money spending montage.
Yeah, they just go out and spend. He buys a car. They buy clothes.
Oh, Prince also appears to be wearing a sports bra in this
Oh
scene.
yes. This is where he's got his little crop top on. They walk through cafes. Yeah, it's
Jamie,
just a
why
little...
did I write bats?
Oh,
Is there a
because
reason I wrote bats? I don't remember this.
that's another crazy transition. Is they're at a restaurant and like after their day of spending money. And the way that
God.
this scene ends is there's just they go, I think it's her that maybe it's him that shouts, "There's a bat!" And
He and Tricky are eating in a restaurant, and he yells, "There's a..."
there is a bat comes flying out, and the entire restaurant goes bolting out the door.
Oh, this movie. Jeez. Oh. All right. Oh. I can't believe I didn't remember why I wrote bats.
Because why would? It's so random. It's so fucking random. Oh my gosh. What do they get ready for? Oh, this is when Prince is sitting on his car and his.
Oh, he goes to a horse
they
track.
need to get.
They go to a track, like a horse track. Are they there yet?
Maybe.
When he's sitting waiting for her, they drive around the track in their cars.
Oh, wait, I don't think that happened.
Okay,
yet,
sorry.
It? No, not yet. When they race
All right.
their cars
Yes.
together?
Yeah.
No, that's not yet, I don't think.
All right.
No. This is when he goes and off by himself. I think him and Tricky talk about getting enough money to get back to Miami.
Oh,
like they
yes.
it's kind of like, oh, we got to keep on focus. You know, we're having all this fun spending her money, but we need to pay our rent in Miami. I don't know.
Again, rent in Miami. What?
I know. I don't know.
Why? Well, you're in the south of France.
I don't know. And you apparently have a place there.
Yeah, it appears that this is where you live now.
Yeah.
Just live here. She has $50 million. Who knows what you spent on your extravagant shopping spree yesterday?
Which was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot.
Before you saw bats
wait.
in
Now
the
they
restaurant.
do race their cars. I'm sorry, you were right.
Oh, no, that's fine.
He goes somewhere. I guess it is the horse track where he sits and listens to his song in his car.
Yes. Yeah.
And then she shows up in the new car that they bought that day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
they just
God. Yes,
race?
there is a scene when they're spending money. He just buys a car off of a guy in the middle of the street.
Yes. And I think that's the car that she shows up in to race him.
Okay.
I don't know.
Did you notice
I don't
his
know.
vanity plate says love?
Love, yes.
Okay.
I did. And that's another thing. Like, if you're from Miami, how'd your car get here? I don't understand.
I think that's...
Yeah, they race, and now is this when he goes to the cave because they make out by the moonlight? Again, the kissing is terrible.
I mean, this is a long scene. Like,
yes.
This is a long... This
wrote,
actually is one of my favorite exchanges in this movie, where she is reading a poem he wrote, and she's reading the word, and she goes, "Leafy." She's like, "You spelled life leafy," and he goes, I must have that disease. What's it called?" And she goes, "Stupid."
Stupid, yeah.
I actually thought that was a clever and funny and well-written exchange, and why wasn't there more of that in this movie? But yeah, they drive around the track, it's cut to them kissing, then they're running, then they're rolling around in the grass. It's a whole thing.
Then they're rubbing. Then he does that rubbing thing like he does where he's on top of her, but he's kind of rubbing his groin and then rubbing her.
Yes. And this is also where he says to her, "You ain't funky at all. You're just a party pooper." And he just said that 20 minutes ago to her dad. And she finds a payphone to call her dad.
Oh,
just
yeah.
a random payphone. And they kiss in a payphone.
They kiss in the booth. And it's terrible because, again, his kissing is uncomfortable.
Yes.
And it doesn't look, And, P.S. Tricky was told to meet them at dinner or something. And now they've had this whole sexcapade, and they've kind of stood him up at dinner.
You selfish son of a biscuit eater.
Son of a biscuit eater. Oh, they make fun of each other again when she makes fun of his greasy hair, and he makes and says, you almost bit me when you kissed me or something like that.
Well, that makes total sense because, like we said before, this is the weirdest kissing scene of this movie when he's like I don't know, he's doing weird stuff, and she's just like You can see her like keeping her lips closed.
Yeah, like
she-
clamming up.
I don't know
Yeah.
what take this is, but she has had enough of this at this point.
Yeah, it just looks like
oh, God.
It's just uncomfortable to watch him make out, and it's
Yeah.
so it's unfortunate because he's enjoyable to watch
Oh
and all
my
this
God.
other stuff that he does, but when
He's
he's
a
trying to
riot.
kiss or make out, you're like, stop it, just stop it. You're
Yeah.
making everybody uncomfortable here.
Just don't. Nobody's enjoying this. I don't even think you are. Just calm
Yeah.
down.
Just move along.
Yeah.
So this
But-
is when then she shows up at her house the next morning.
Right. You're
right?
saying, but yes, but this is after they go to the secret mountaintop sex cave.
Yes.
Yes, but you're right. She goes to, well, wait a second. At night. Oh, wait, is this one? Where does she show up? I don't know if it's a house or a restaurant. Where then Tricky runs outside in a cowboy hat and spills all
That's
the beans.
at the restaurant where he's
That's a restaurant.
because he's been stood up there.
Okay.
And he got drunk while he was stood up, and he gets angrier and angrier.
All right.
And first she goes home to her. He must have stayed at the restaurant all night, because first she goes home to her parents.
Uh-huh.
And they're mad at her because she's stayed out all night long. Does she know what time it is? And the dad, she argues with her dad because he clearly wants her to marry the other guy because he wants
Right.
to keep building their wealth. And then the two guys fight, or Tricky and Prince fight, because Tricky was stood up.
But Tricky's like, hey, why are you doing this? She's just, we were after the 50 million. We were going to split it half. And that's when I was going to get 20%. And that's when Mary hears this and is
No,
really
I don't
upset.
think that happened yet. First oh wait. Well, because they go on their own candlelight adventure, or I guess they already did that. Okay.
Yeah, they
well,
already did that.
Yeah. So
'Cause
then
this
you're
is-
right. You're
yes,
right.
because this is another great line in this movie, because Tricky says all this, and his French girlfriend / landlord is there. And after, Mary's all insulted and embarrassed
yeah.
and runs away, and Prince runs after her, and the French girl goes, why'd you do that? And he goes, because it's a full moon, and I'm a werewolf. And then he goes, I'm just like Liberace. Don't have anything to do with these.
He says, I'm a werewolf, bitch, just like Liberace.
Just like, I'm a werewolf like Liberace.
That's just Tricky. I don't know.
So does Prince then have a nightmare about a witch or something like that?
Oh no! Then
What is
he
that?
Has this, I
What
think
is
that's because again before this they've been just turning tricks. They were just two gigolos.
Sure.
So I think he has this nightmare about like one of the older ladies that he has had relations with, who just keeps coming back in the dream and saying like, what does she even say to them?
I don't know. I thought it was it was more of a tarot card dream, like a weird, like, you're cursed now or something.
No,
But
I
that
think it was like
doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I think it was like one of the ladies that was like,
Okay.
and it's like a sign,
right.
like you could either settle down and be with this girl
Okay.
that you really love, or you can have this life of like constantly,
Yes,
having sex
okay.
with these older women for money, whatever,
right.
being a gigolo
Yes.
or a whore, if you will. I think she calls him a whore at some point.
Can we talk about the next scene where Prince is paid $100,000 to stay away from Mary?
Oh, yeah,
Don't
in a
know what
check?
he writes on that check.
No, it gives him a check for
Nobody knows what he
$100,000.
writes on it, because the guy gives him the check, and Prince goes, "This is what I think of your money," and he like writes something on it and goes, "Tell him it's Chinese," and then walks away. We never see what he wrote on the check.
Maybe he
doesn't
wrote
make any
Rekisto. I don't know.
I don't know. Ah. But he finds out that she's leaving on a plane that night.
Yes.
So he's got to go to the airport. So much. Jamie,
Yeah, she and her mom are going to go to New York.
right. What was the... She's out of control. The movie ended
Yeah.
on the tarmac.
Oh, yeah.
Bloodsport. The movie ended on a tarmac,
Yeah,
and
we're
I
at a
was amazed that in this movie we have a scene. My favorite part of this is that he drives to the wrong airport at first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do
And we
need
had to
that?
see that. I know, and we had to see that. I don't know.
He just drives to an empty airport, turns around, drives away, and then we're at another airport.
Yep. But this time it's the right one. And she sits in the car with him, tells him he's got 4 minutes by the time she gets
yep.
in the car. And he just takes off with her in it.
Yes,
And
the
she
mother
doesn't-
comically faints too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
she's and then she's down. And he drives her to the docks where there's a couple of homeless dudes in the background
Oh, yeah, yeah.
who love it. When they start making out, those homeless dudes like, yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
We're just going to watch this.
No, homeless dudes, it's not fun. Watching Prince make out is not
No,
fun.
no, you should not be
No.
enjoying this.
Before they get to the dock, though, isn't this where he just drives somewhere? She calls him a whore, and he just goes in the back seat and wears sunglasses and doesn't say anything.
It's so great. Yeah, she says something like, "Oh my God, you're mentally ill." And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
you just got in the back seat and put sunglasses. I know that's weird, but this is Prince.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
kind
what
of
did
makes sense.
And then she says, "I hate you," and he says, "I love you."
Oh.
And then they kiss.
I love that. Oh wait, I wrote it down. I wrote down the exchange. Here it is. I love you. No, you don't. Then I hate you. No, you don't. Then I love you.
It's like one of his freaking poems.
Right?
And then they kiss, and the homeless people applaud.
Yep.
And then,
Oh, poor Tricky.
oh yeah, that's right.
How he gets punched because he sneezes on the guy.
Yeah. Although I like it, he talks about his shoes. He's like, only confused men wear loafers.
Yep.
Are you confused?
Yeah, Tricky gets confronted by these thugs in
By
his
these
apartment.
goons, yeah.
Yes. And they punch him until
Mm-hmm.
the French girl walks in, and then they escape together.
Yes, yes. And they go to find Christopher,
Yes.
Prince. They go to find him so that oh wait, I like it. Is it in this scene? Or did they already find him? Wait. Oh, that's how they get away because they grab a fern, they grab a plant and hit the
Yes.
bad guys over the head with the plant, and that just knocks them out enough for them to run away.
Yes.
And then the Tricky's girlfriend does like this weird ghost fight in the background when
Yep.
he's trying to. Did you realize
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
See
When
that?
he's
Yeah.
fighting the guy, she's just standing back there like shadow
In the air.
boxing.
Yeah.
And he hits a guy with a chair. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And she later hits a guy with like a basket, like just what appears to be the lightest wicker basket.
Yeah.
Hits a guy with it too.
Knocks him out. And then they get to where the two lovers are.
Right.
And they
Mary-
warn them.
Yeah, Mary wakes up in Prince's sex cave and reads some more bad poetry. And Prince has left the sex cave and makes up with Tricky. And yeah, he's calling him his cousin now. He calls him his cousin.
Yeah, I don't
They
know.
were
if
calling
that's,
each other
terms of
brothers.
affections
They were calling each
or
other
if it's-
business partners. Now
Yeah.
he's his cousin.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
So confusing.
so confusing. But Mary's dad is after them.
Oh,
he's got a bunch
pissed.
of guys. I don't know if
Yep.
it's police or what. But you know what? Take it away here. Take it away at the end of this movie.
Oh.
It's a sad.
Well, things
ending.
get intense. Things get intense. And he's on the dock, I think. Prince
Yep.
is on some kind of a dock, and he's running.
She's
toward
running
Mary.
down from the sex cave to meet him. He's running up the dock to meet her.
And pew! He gets shot in the back.
In the
Falls down. And you know what? I mean, Mary's upset. But it's Tricky that's like, no,
Oh,
not
it's
him.
so
Not
great.
now. Oh, God, no. Right?
It is like a tricky one-man show because
Yeah.
he is at the mouth of this cave. A spotlight is on him, and he's like, "Oh no, God, please no, not him! Take me, take me! He's so young, Lord. He's so young." Take
Yeah.
me. And this goes on for way too long.
It goes on for way too long. Tricky is having a hard time of it. And she.
But
I
then
think
he kind of like, by the
Prince-
time he gets over to the dock, he's like, well, that's kind of terrible. Let's get you in the boat, Mary.
Yeah. Let's move on from this. And then we fast forward. Mary holds him, I think, one last time with the blood coming out of the corner of his mouth, even though he was shot in the back.
And he just goes, his last words are, we had fun, didn't we?
Because he's all about fun.
Right.
all about it.
No bad poetry, just that casual throwaway line.
Just, we had fun, didn't we? It was all fun, Mary. And then, then we see the future. A couple, I don't know how much later.
Who knows?
Tricky's living his best life. He's
best
driving
life.
the Rolls Royce.
Yep.
He owns some kind of fancy building in Miami.
I don't
which
know if that's the
apparently-
place that they've been paying rent on or were concerned about paying rent
Well,
on.
now he seems to own it. And
Yes.
I think that's Mary calls or writes a letter about their business endeavor and how it's hard for her to move on. She's never going to meet anybody else
I have
like him.
never seen a letter reading as good as it is in this movie. Because Tricky starts reading it and he's like, Tricky, how you doing? It's Mary. And I'm like, oh my God, are we going to listen and read this whole thing? But then it fades out suddenly to Mary's voice reading it.
Yes,
And Tricky is
Tricky
responding to
responding.
questions. How you doing? And Tricky just goes, pretty good. I've never seen anything like that in a movie ever.
Then, Tricky then asks for rent money from the French girl he's with.
Right.
And then are we meant to think the last, because the closing credits then is Prince and his band and they're singing. Is Prince supposed to be, are we thinking this is heaven?
Oh,
And
of
he's
course.
in heaven singing?
I mean,
Okay,
when you say,
that's what I
are we
thought.
supposed to think this? The camera pans up to the clouds and
Yeah.
Prince's band comes down and it's an entire performance
Yeah, oh, yeah.
against a green screen. It's so bad. Like, it is such a ridiculously
It's silly.
bad ending to this movie. Oh,
Under the Cherry Moon.
I can't.
Filmed by
like,
Prince.
I have heard of this movie for
I
a
had
very
not.
long time. Like, I just heard the name, like Under the Cherry Moon, and Prince is in it, and I knew nothing else. There is no way I would have guessed anything about this movie.
Oh, no, me neither.
Like-
well, and like you said earlier, like, who is this movie geared toward? Like, watching it and watching it unfold, I didn't know, like, I guess after watching it a couple of times, I could see where you're like, oh, that, like,
Yeah.
it's got this silly nostalgia to, like,
Oh,
but I
I
don't know
don't
who
know.
watched it for the first time in its entirety at that time period and thought, this is great. This
I mean,
is-
I'm right, and I'm kind of surprised this isn't a movie that hasn't gotten more recognition for being one of those movies where it's like, this
So
is
bizarre.
so bad, you
Yeah.
have to see it. Like,
Yes.
it's so terrible, it's wildly entertaining. Because I kind of thought it was like,
Yeah.
this is not a good movie, but it is.
But it's
so
entertaining.
Hilarious.
I agree. And especially if you like, Prince is just enjoyable, even if you're not like a huge fan of his music or whatever. He's just kind of fun to watch, and it's just it's weird enough. I will say that because of those like long conversation pauses and scenes that don't have to, it felt a little longer, and
Sure.
like even at the airport at the end, you're like, all right, let's see, are they
Right.
running away together? What's gonna? Oh, he's dying. What? So I wish that it went a little quicker, because I'd be faster to
Right.
recommend it to somebody, to just say, you should just watch this
Oh,
because
sure.
it's ridiculous.
Yes.
But there's times when I feel like if you would run out of patience for it.
Yes,
almost.
it's a movie where all of the intentionally comedic moments are not funny.
Rest.
And
yes.
all of the super serious moments don't work.
Yeah, they
But
don't hit.
all the stuff in between, everything that's inconsequential and doesn't matter, is what makes this movie so much fun.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you said, eating crackers while talking on the phone is hilarious. Like,
Yeah,
who would do that? Doesn't make any sense. It's a dumb decision. it's a bad movie. Like, this is a terrible, terrible
Oh,
movie.
well, it makes sense it won the
But there's a
Razzies.
lot
It's-
of this that was just like, why is he in the bathtub? What,
I
like,
know, with that
just
hat on.
in the
Yeah.
bathtub with that hat on. Why are they dressed the way they are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a strange movie.
Very strange. But I'm
Anyway.
glad. In the end, I am glad that I've experienced it. I don't know. I'd have to, if I recommended it, it would have to be like to the right person or
Oh,
for
yeah.
the right. But I'm glad I saw it.
Yeah, I think that this, I mean, it's crazy, but our Razzie movies, and I'm sure we watched other movies that were nominated for Razzies or maybe even won, but the ones we're aware of, the Under the Cherry Moon, Xanadu, and Can't Stop the Music, they
Oh,
are
yeah.
all kind of in the same.
Yeah.
Category.
Kinda, yeah.
Like, I know what the Razzies are looking for now, I think.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
Well,
everybody.
there you have it.
Yeah, you guys, patrons, thank you for continuing to support us. This is so great. I hope you're
Yeah.
enjoying these. Your next Patreon episode will be April 1st.
April
And
Fool's.
Since April 1st is April Fool's Day, we are going to do a Saturday Night Live alum movie. Because they're all fools, get it?
You
So
see?
every April 1st, you will get a movie starring a Saturday Night Live alum, perhaps multiple. And I believe, if I am correct, this was your choice, Jamie. You chose.
Yeah.
What did you choose? Sorry, I don't remember. You don't remember?
I don't remember the name of it right now.
Something with Gilda Radner.
Yeah.
Gilda Radner, I think Chevy Chase.
No, it's not Chevy Chase. It's Gilda Radner and
Not Chevy Chase. John Candy. Right?
no,
No? I'm just naming.
Dom DeLuise.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. I was a little far off.
Shit, why? I'm a terrible person for not remembering.
It's Haunted Honeymoon. I just
there
thought
you
of it
go.
now.
It's
Yes.
with oh my god, I was off in Prince Land, I guess. It's with Gilda Radner and Gene Wilder and Dom DeLuise.
Dom DeLuise.
Yes.
Okay. Dom DeLuise. I was thinking John Candy. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
anyway.
because it's Chubby Man.
Yep,
Okay.
Chubby Man. So that's what's happening in April. But you guys, on the regular feed, there's more stuff coming pretty soon. I can't think of the next movie that we're doing because this is all out of order that we're recording this. So who knows? Enjoy us. Maybe this Friday, maybe next Friday, maybe the following Friday. Who knows when our regular
Who
episode
knows?
is coming?
Question mark.
We will talk to you then. Let us close the book on Prince and permanently too. Not
Yeah.
a TV movie, not a
No.
anything. Just music videos and these two films. So Prince, thank you for giving us these because
Yeah.
I feel richer for now having seen both of these
I do
movies.
too. I do too. There's a little bit of me. Although I could really do without the Prince kissing. I want to erase that from my memory. But yeah, the rest of it was
Yeah.
was pretty fun ride. Thanks.
All right. Everybody, we
All
will
right.
talk to you soon enough. Bye.
I mean, if that's the ultimate, then the flesh is nothing. We live in a parade. Dig? Yes, I dig. I'll be the one digging your grave. Listen, I like Mary as much as you do. Probably more. But this is business.
Tricky, try to understand.
No, you understand. If we don't get some bread and get back to Miami soon, Isaac Sharon's gonna mess one of us up. And honey, it ain't gonna be me.
What's the matter, afraid to die?
Yes?
Well, I ain't afraid of shit.
Are you afraid of bats? What should I wear to the joint tonight? My Versace or my Benucci?
I don't know, man. I think I like that blue.